Hey guys, it's Alex. So, I have been discouraged a bit lately because I haven't been able to control my eating as much as I'd like, and I weigh in daily, so my weigh-ins aren't really, accurate loss-wise, but I can see that I'm not losing any weight currently and whatnot, so I haven't been able to really control my eating as much as I'd like to and stuff like that. So this video today will be about what to do when you feel discouraged, because I have been feeling discouraged because it's very difficult to keep going when you feel like something's not working and when you feel like something's just not possible. Like, I am not losing my lane. I am fine. Still have the rental, the loaner car. Eventually I'll get my car back, hopefully. I don't mind the loaner, obviously, but I miss my car. So, haven't heard from the dealership in a couple days. I emailed Subaru about all this, and they are keeping touch with the dealership and keeping touch with me, and the dealership should be keeping touch with me, and I haven't really heard from anybody. So, but Subaru is an awesome company who replies quickly about problems like this, so I have hope. So, anyway, feeling discouraged. I think, first off, one of the things that I'm going to do personally is I might stop weighing in daily, and I might start weighing in once a week, maybe on Wednesdays or something like that. The idea just being I can actually start getting a trend line instead of just being reactionary or whatever. So I'm going to start doing that. So today will be my first weigh-in. I think I was 239.4, which again I believe is an inflated number because I ate crappy yesterday, but you don't gain 3 pounds or 2 pounds in a day by eating bad. Usually that's some sort of inflammation or, poor just digestion or whatever, So anyway, what to do when you are discouraged, because I personally am feeling discouraged. First up, lane departure, I am in the lane. First up, you change your patterns. This is what I'm talking about here. I changed my patterns. I'm deciding now, instead of weighing in daily, I'm going to weigh in weekly, because I want to see the average trend line versus a daily trend line that kind of, varies based on what I eat. So if I eat, I don't know, it used to be that every time I drank, I got a little bit of a weird weigh-in, but that hasn't really seemed to affect it anymore. Now it's more like just, if I eat certain types of foods or whatever, then the weigh-in is increased. And, it's just, like, they're not accurate at this point. So, and it's just kind of making me go, man, that really sucks, and turning the day into, like, this day of, well, maybe I shouldn't eat breakfast because maybe that'll reduce my calories, and just guesses and not really being sure what to do and stuff like that. So there you go. Change your pattern up. Another one, redefine your pattern. Like, my pattern has been this, and basically my day after a bad weigh-in like this has been, go kind of mourn, like, not really mourn, but just kind of like, I focus less on eating well and think, well, I'm just gaining weight anyway, kind of thing. And if I want something, that would be bad for me, then I just go get it, that kind of thing, like pizza or something like that. So, and then on good weigh-in days, it's usually like I'm sticking to what I do, but I might have a little sweet thing or something like that, just like kind of, hey, I earned this or something, both really bad things to do anyway, reward yourself or punish yourself kind of thing. But, ultimately, the pattern that is the problem is A, the weighing in each day and reacting to that, and B, the eating. I need to, so what I'm saying is redefine the way you eat. Like, in my case now, something they talk about a lot in, like, the self-improvement world and stuff is this notion of identity. Like, instead of, so yeah, we'll call that redefine your identity, not redefine your pattern. So Upset your patterns was the first one. Redefine your identity is the second one. And your identity being this concept of who you in your head think you are. The important thing there is you will tend to follow that kind of thing. So if you are like, I am a person who works out every day and who eats healthily and stuff like that, your tendency to follow that is better than your tendency to follow it if you just say like, well, I don't like that I get fat when I eat sugary things, so I'm going to stop eating sugary things. If you redefine it as, I am not a human who likes sugary things, then it works so much better. An example of this was back when I was kind of having issues with the divorce and stuff. So my first 30 pounds of loss here, which I'm dangerously approaching not 30 pounds of loss anymore. I've actually breached it, but, again, I think this weigh-in was inflated. But my first 30 pounds of loss or so were actually kind of cheated off because, I had this just disdain and disgust for food, so I didn't eat. It was like every time I ate, I felt like shit, and I wanted to vomit, and because my stomach was all screwed up, so I just stopped eating for the most part, and I would eat one meal a day, and it was usually not a great for me meal, but enough to keep me alive kind of thing, like a burger from, Get-Go or something, like a local gas station or something like that, just something that 500, 600, 700 calories, something like that was enough for, it was not enough for a day or a meal, but was enough to keep me alive, but not really much beyond that, so I lost weight inevitably, so at that point though, I had a kind of a disdain for food, and clearly that was a forced identity, or that was a reaction identity rather than a forced identity. The identities I'm talking about would be I don't eat sugar, I don't enjoy sugar, and if you live your life like that, then you will find that you don't want to eat sugar, that kind of thing. But in that time, of course, it was every time I eat food, it makes me feel like vomiting. Therefore, I think food is gross and I don't want to eat it. And I wasn't normally hungry anyway because I thought food was gross. But again, like I said, that was kind of a reaction rather than a forced thing. But in both cases, it was a change of identity that caused that's because that truck's drifting. Come on. But it was a change of identity that caused a new pattern in my life kind of thing. So those are two things, upset your patterns and change your identity, or redefine your identity, your personal identity. So then the third thing, this one is interesting to me, and I haven't been doing it as much, but I really like the notion of it, and I will start working it into my life more. And so David Goggins talks about this concept of a cookie jar, and it's not a jar of cookies. And I'm not even sure that he has a physical jar. He mimes, getting something out of it and opening it and stuff like that. But if that helps you, then make it physical. But I believe it makes more sense to be non-physical, because the idea is anytime you're discouraged, or anytime you're feeling like you can't do something, or anytime you're feeling like, you just don't have it in you to do whatever it is you're trying to do, then you get in the cookie jar, you open the cookie jar, you mime opening your cookie jar. Honestly, I think miming could probably actually help too, because there's they've proven that people who force a smile actually end up happier and whatnot. So I believe miming could actually help with this, and it's fun, so you mime opening your cookie jar, take the lid off, you reach in, and what you're retrieving are small achievements of yours, pretend they're written on a piece of paper or something like that say things like, I lost 100 pounds, I trained up and ran a marathon, I bought a house when I didn't have enough money, which I don't recommend, but looking back, I bought a house when I didn't have enough money, and I managed to survive. And the reason I like that one is because financially, I am a lot more comfortable now, but I also have issues with spending way too much all the time now. And it's mostly because, you know, I forgot that I needed to get this when I went to Walmart the other day, so now I need to go back and I need to grab this, but then I end up seeing this thing that I think is a good idea to grab too. And I know there's this huge list of stuff that I can't immediately remember, but as soon as I'm at Walmart, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been wanting that too. Oh crap, yeah, I've been wanting that too. So, you know, and then it ends up being like a $40, you know, $40 amount that you spend, and then you have to buy gas, and you know, it's just, spending is really easy. So, like, thinking back to these days where I bought and afforded to pay for a house that I didn't actually have the money to afford, makes me remember that I can be frugal and I can live on, like at that point, I was married, and my wife and I were living on, like, I believe it was like we had it down to like $36 of groceries a week. And sure, groceries are more expensive now, but we would, you know, we had, I think at that point we had like a box of cereal. We had a box of cereal for the week, and then for lunches we had like sandwich stuff, and then for dinners we had like chicken and a vegetable. And that was just like every day, and it was awesome, you know. And the thing was too, I was only spending $36 a week, and I was getting all the food I needed all week, you know. And now, as a single person, I can do that so much easier. All I need to do is prep, you know, like I need to meal prep so that I have food for every night and food for every day and stuff like that. But all that stuff's super cheap. Like I could get, well, super cheap. I mean, a loaf of bread is like $3, and if you get a good loaf of bread, it's like $5, but it's kind of worth it. At the time, we were eating kind of like ramen level stuff, you know, like the big loaves of white bread that are like $1.50 or something like that, you know, are mostly just cardboard or whatever, you know, are horrible for you because there's no nutrients in them or whatever. But if I now instead, I am not leaving my lane, I'm good, but if I now instead get my $5 loaf of bread with the little seeds on top and shit like that, and I eat, you know, they come with, I don't know exactly how many pieces of bread, but I believe at least, you know, at least, I mean, there's at least 14 pieces of bread in there, which means there's enough for a sandwich every day of the week, Sunday through Saturday, in there, and probably more than that. And, you know, then you get like peanut butter or something like that. I mean, some kind of good peanut butter though, so that it's not sugary and stuff, and, you know, which is another $4 or whatever. But you have that, and that there should be enough peanut butter in there to make sandwiches for the week. You have your peanut butter sandwiches, you're good there. You know, I don't really recommend cereal as a regular breakfast thing anymore. That used to be something I didn't recommend it. I didn't really think about it at the time, but I don't really recommend it anymore as a regular breakfast thing. So what I would recommend now is probably just some sort of smoothie or something like that, which I'm making already. And it's costing me, I think, $15 for a week's worth of smoothies. So at this point, we're at like $24. And then for dinners, a bag of chicken, you know, like 5 pounds of chicken, I think I could get for $12 at Walmart. You can also get 3 pounds of chicken and stretch it a little more or whatever, but, you know, and bags of vegetables are like stupid cheap. They're like $1.12 for like a big bag, or like, you know, 80 cents or 70 cents or whatever for like the small bags and like frozen vegetables. So then you bake all your chicken on Sunday night. You know, you have one for dinner, you have a chicken breast for dinner, then you pack the rest of the way for the rest of the week, and then you have one each night for the rest of the week, and you have your vegetables. This is really going in depth on this food thing. I'm not really even sure how I got off on this tangent. I am sorry. But to finish it, you know, for $12 you have this chicken. Well, there's a giant truck there, car. We could go over there, or we could just go this way and be good. But anyway, we could, for $12 you get this bag of chicken, which puts us at $36. And then, for like $8 more you have all the vegetables you need, which puts me at $45 or so, roughly. And that's probably with tax, probably almost 50 with tax. But that's for an entire week's worth of food and groceries, and that means I'm not spending money on, I'm eating better, I'm not going to fast food places and getting greasy food every day. This is not something I'm doing, by the way. This is something I'm actually trying to convince myself to do. This is difficult because I ate the same thing for a very long time, and now that I'm not I am in charge of making my own food for everything, now I have to both prepare it and eat it, and which doesn't sound like that big of a feat, but since I was, born, I have not had to do that because I was living with my parents until I was like 18 or whatever, and then when I moved out, my ex-wife would cook for me and stuff like that, so I always had food prepared for me. So now I have to prepare and eat it, so it has to be simple to prepare too, but also be tasty. So, and be prompt, like I can't be preparing food at 10 o'clock every night when I get home from work. So that's why I have to meal prep it and have it ready so that I can just kind of microwave when I get it. But anyway, so yeah, for like $50 a week, I could have all the groceries, or I could have the groceries I need and have food for the whole week, instead of going to the get-go and spending $15 and, on $5 on a burger and, $3 on this thing, and then $2 on snacks, and, $1.50 on a drink, and just, and then going and spending $12 at this store and $5 or $10 at this store. Nothing's cheap anymore. There's no like, I'll go to McDonald's, that'll be a cheap lunch. No, it's like, first off, that's horrible for you, and second, like, I always end up spending like $12 anyway, and that's not buying like 15 Big Macs. It's like, if I bought 15 Big Macs, it might actually be cheaper, but what I'm buying usually is either a chicken sandwich or a salad, and the salads are like $8, like for the full salad, I think, and at least in the end, they end up being that much, and then if I get that, and like, Ben and I went to, I took my puppy on a walk on Sunday, and then we went to Wendy's, and I got the spicy chicken Caesar salad, and the full-sized one, and I got a small fry to share with him, and I got a drink, crack there, but I got a drink, and it cost me like $13, $14, which isn't cheap. That's one day's worth of meals. That's one meal actually during the day that could actually have just been replaced with, a sandwich or whatever, or that's another reason I've been thinking about like some sort of meal replacements thing, like a Soylent or something like that, because it's like $1.70 a meal, and they are nutritionally complete and prepared for you. All you have to do is mix it with water or just drink out of the bottle, but I'd rather have the powder. I like bulk powders. But that was weird timing. It's like, I like bulk powders. It's like, no, that wasn't a cocaine joke. It was I just mean I like bulk powders, and then I happen to sniff. But I like supplements in bulk powder form rather than buying it in like individually wrapped pre-made shakes and shit like that. So yeah. So anyway, the third point was the cookie jar thing, and I am so sorry that it took me 8 minutes to get to that. The cookie jar thing, you have your achievements in your imaginary or real cookie jar written on little pieces of imaginary or real paper. You pull them out and it says things like that, like, I am independent, I lost 100 pounds, I'm actually back up again, but I think you guys know that, but I lost 100 pounds, I ran a marathon, I trained up and ran a marathon, and a good time. It was like 5:04:38, which isn't a great time. It's not like marathoner time, but it was about an 11-minute mile the entire way, without, I mean, we walked for like less than a quarter mile at one point, and that was it. I mean, and that's a pretty good time for a first-time marathoner. So I ran a marathon. I trained up and ran a marathon. Well, I bought a house before I had the money to, really. I have, maintained, just stuff that help you remember that you have achieved a lot, basically. Because the idea is you're discouraged. I am not leaving the lane, I am fine. But the point is you're discouraged, so what you're trying to do is remind yourself of how tough you can be and how what you have achieved with that toughness so far. So I would recommend doing these things. We're at 21 minutes again already. I don't understand why I can't make short videos anymore. I started off this morning trying to rack my brain thinking what I would talk about today, and thought, okay, I'm just gonna get on and, play with that cookie jar method thing and kind of cop it out, sorry, but that was what I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was gonna be like a 4-minute video of me saying, yeah, cookie jar, do that. But here I am instead, 21 minutes later, still babbling. But whoa, that truck is out here. But there we go. So my main plan with this is to kind of as I deal with things, kind of remind myself how it is that I need to deal with them, so I'm trying to, I got on the scale and I was, heavier. I am running late to work, that kind of stuff. Just trying to remind myself how to deal with these things. So I hope that helps you while I do it. So that's it. I'll reiterate one more time without any asides. The list is: disrupt the current pattern, redefine your identity, and use the cookie jar method to keep yourself going. So thank you guys for watching. You guys are effing amazing, and I will see you tomorrow.